It is officially UDA College Dance Team Nationals Week, and I am very excited to be sharing all of my thoughts, my predictions, what I think is going to be happening this week in today's video. I'm going to be talking about what I think about the Ohio State University versus Minnesota. I'm going to be talking about OCC and how they are kind of my OG ride or die team. I'm going to be talking about Utah Valley coming back into the picture and competing yet again for another UDA title. There is just so much that I have packed into this video, so bear with me. This is actually my first YouTube video that I am posting. I am nervous. You're going to probably notice that throughout this video that I am nervous. However, I am very eager to share what I have to say and hear what everyone else has to think about this weekend that is slowly approaching us. My name is Kyle Rush, and I have been in the dance team space now for over 15 years, and I don't mean to age myself here. I am a former NBA pro dancer, dance team director, dance choreographer, music editor, literally all of these sorts in the dance team industry. Now, if you want to stay up to date with this weekend's events that are going to be going down, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I am going to be posting content all about this weekend, as well as more dance team events moving forward into the very near future. With that being said, welcome everybody to episode 1 of the I have no idea what I'm doing, how I got here, and I am just going with the flow show. No, that is not the official name. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I want to start this. I just want to kind of get the path going, get the growth going, and we're going to figure this all out together. The competition kicks off on Friday with the D1A and D1 Jazz categories. Now, something that is new this year is that UDA is splitting up both of these divisions into 2 separate groups for Friday. I'm assuming with the overwhelming size of these divisions that they wanted to give competitors a better chance to make the semifinals round. It's not my favorite thing to see at a competition. I just like to see everyone compete against everybody. But it works for UDA. They do it for their high school nationals as well too. So seeing them bring this to college nationals is actually not a surprise to me. Last season, D1A Jazz had a total of 32 teams hit the stage, with only the top 17 making it to finals. Out of the 33 teams competing this weekend, only 21 of them will be making it to the semifinals round, and 11 of them will be making it to finals, making finals on Sunday just even more intense. And imagine competing your routine 3 days in a row. I'm sure these D1A Jazz teams and D1 Jazz teams have done a lot of conditioning in the past couple of months, preparing them to possibly be competing 3 days in a row. In 2023, we saw University of Minnesota take home the title, Ohio State being second, and FSU, Florida State University, taking third place. Although Ohio was in first place after semifinals, Minnesota ended up coming out on top. However, we do have some newcomers coming either back to the jazz category or introducing themselves to UDA in the jazz category. So Virginia Tech is actually back competing in jazz this season. Virginia Tech, if you don't know, they are a great team, very beautiful technique. I think where Virginia Tech really lacks is the cleanliness in their routine. These teams in D1A in general are just clean teams overall. We really do see these D1A programs end up being the top teams coming out of this weekend's competition. D1A is always the highest scoring program teams. They always have the most incredible performances, in my opinion, and that D1A division is just tough overall. I love D1A. I feel like it's the most competitive when it comes to this, not to take away from all of the other divisions, because don't get me wrong, all of these divisions are incredibly competitive. And just to go to UDA and compete in general, yeah, let's be real. Now, last season, I actually wasn't predicting Minnesota to come out on top. I thought if a team was going to come and sweep Ohio State out of the top title, I thought it was going to be Tennessee. I'm not gonna lie. I was rooting for Tennessee the entire weekend because I thought they might have what it takes to end up coming on top. Not saying I didn't want the Buckeyes to win, okay? However, it would be nice to see a team come out, well, I guess it is nice to see another team come out on top. It just makes the competition that much more fun to watch and then look forward to the next year. Given this year, where I think we all know the Ohio State University is going to be coming out hard. I'm predicting Ohio State to just come out and have like this fresh new look, given they didn't take home a title last year. And I'm actually hoping the Ohio State University takes home at least a title this year, whether that is Pom or Jazz. Now, I know I shouldn't be holding last year's placements into this year's predictions. However, I do think Minnesota is going to end up coming out on top for Jazz. I think Jazz is just it's them. They're like the it team when it comes to Jazz. And I've always thought this. Minnesota has always just had beautiful Jazz. Ohio, I mean, come on now, the Pom Bots. I think if they're going to take home a title, it's probably going to be Pom. I'm not doubting them in Jazz. Don't get me wrong. I do think they could even come out on top in a Jazz title because they are just that great of a team. However, I do think this year Minnesota is going to be coming out on top in the Jazz category. But we can't forget about Florida State University. Where I think they lacked last year was just, again, those cleans in their technique. Judges are really looking for that beautiful technique and those graceful transitions across the floor. And I think that is what Florida State University did lack last season. Personally, I think if they can bring up their technique, their cleans, they could challenge themselves a little bit more. I do think they could give either Ohio State or Minnesota a run for their money. I feel like that is a stretch to say, but this year, in my head, I'm thinking if anyone can do it, it's going to be Florida State University. There's nothing like the feeling of getting second place is it's not great. Okay. I mean, it probably feels better getting last place, let's be honest. But the feeling of getting third place, knowing that you were just that much more closer, it just lights that fire under you. I actually think Florida State University can give Ohio State and Minnesota a run for their money. A stretch. I know. Another team I would like to see, not necessarily top 3, but even top 5, would be Alabama. Their 2023 routine was just way too underrated and underscored to me. I loved it was actually my favorite. Okay, I can't say my favorite. It was one of my favorite jazz routines, probably top 3 jazz routines last season. I thought it was just so innovative of what Alabama came out, and they had the red gloves, and red's my favorite color if you haven't gotten the vibe. But I just love the routine overall. I was hoping for a higher placement for Alabama. It didn't happen. I am still hoping that this year Alabama can challenge themselves also a little bit more, challenge their technique, challenge their choreography, and come out with a higher placing. Do you ever just wonder, like, do these coaches and choreographers understand who they are up against? And sometimes, no shade to some of y'all coaches, sometimes I question if you understand what you are up against when you are choosing which choreographers you are going to hire. I'm just saying. D1A Jazz, D1A Hip Hop, D1A Pom, beast of divisions. You need to be hiring the best of the best. You need to be on your A1 coaching game, and you got to be ready to come out and slay the competition to make it out on top. And let's be real, that starts with amazing choreography. You can't have a great team with shitty choreography and expect to make it out on top. You have to have a great team with great choreography, great coaching to make it out on top, and a team that is just so dedicated and brave to want to challenge themselves, to be able to set the tone for following teams, not just yourself, following teams all after that. If you've seen the schedule and you've seen these D1A Jazz teams coming, did you catch UNLV on the schedule? I remember seeing something on Instagram of their jazz team, which had 2 males in it, which I am very excited to see what UNLV is going to be bringing to the table in jazz. I don't think I've ever seen a UNLV jazz routine. If there is one even out there, please send me it because I would love to see. I've done my research and I've looked and I couldn't find one. So maybe this is their first time competing D1A Jazz. Um, but according to their post, not only do they have a very talented choreographer, Danny Justice, but they also have their hip hop choreographer, Andrew, working on this piece together, which I need to see this. I need to see this. I feel like it's going to be so innovative and raw and just incredible to watch. I am just so excited to see what UNLV is going to be bringing out to the UDA stage this season. I'm not going to lie. If I was competing in D1A Jazz, I would be very nervous. You have UNLV, Minnesota, Ohio, Tennessee, Florida State, all of these incredible teams that are just stacked in this division. As I'm editing this, I noticed that I did not include my predictions, so I'm going to share them now. First place, Minnesota. Second place, Ohio. Third place, Tennessee. Thanks. Bye. This season for D1 Jazz, there are 33 teams that are going to be competing. Last season, there were 31 teams that took the stage. In 2023, we saw University of St. Thomas take the title, which let me just say, one of my favorite jazz routines ever. So good, especially with Adele. You can never go wrong dancing to Adele. It was just beautiful. Chef's kiss, perfection. I loved it. Following University of St. Thomas, we had Grand Canyon University take home second place, and University of California, Santa Barbara take home third. However, this season, we have Utah Valley University coming back to the competition. And if I was a D1 Jazz competitor, I would be shaking in my boots right now. Okay, we know Utah Valley University, in my opinion, if it could happen, should be a D1A program. They need to be competing against Minnesota, Ohio, Tennessee. They are just so great of a team. Incredible tricks. I mean, I feel like the way that Utah Valley does their tricks and their jumps, their leaps, their turns, everything is just on another level. Their training clearly is probably very intense. And then let's be real, Utah dancers are just another breed. I'm just going to say it. I feel like we always see the best dancers come out of Utah when it comes to technique. We also have Cal State University Long Beach entering the competition this season, which I low key feel I need to root for them just a little bit. My partner is a graduate from this university. So, Long Beach, I'm looking out for you. Please don't disappoint me. He also told me I don't need to. He was like, "You don't have to root for them." I don't even think I've seen them before. And I was like, "No, but I have to. You graduated from there. Let me support your university." I'm also very interested to see what Santa Barbara is going to be bringing out to the stage. If I'm being honest, I am doubting top 3 material from Santa Barbara. Don't come for me. Do not come for me. This is a blind prediction. I just think that the top teams that are in this division, given I know they did take home third place last year, the other top teams that are in this division and Utah Valley coming back, it's just going to be a very stiff competition. I am rooting for Santa Barbara. Don't get me wrong. I just said not too long ago, I like Santa Barbara. However, these teams are also beasts in this D1 Jazz category. It's going to be very interesting to see what these teams are going to be bringing out this year. I'm just so excited. However, we also have one of my favorite returners in this division, which is Hofstra. I would love to see Hofstra take home a top title this year. I don't think it's going to be Jazz. I do think Utah Valley is going to be coming out and first in Jazz in this division. However, I would like to see Hofstra in top 3. So with that being said, my top 3 blind prediction: Utah Valley first place, University of St. Thomas second place, and Hofstra third place. Blind predictions. This can change, okay? This can change. Don't come for me. This can change. Actually, come back on Friday afterwards, after we have prelims, and we can talk about it, okay? The Open Jazz Division has 27 teams this season. Last season, there were also 27 teams. Out of those 27 teams, there will be 14 teams making it to finals on Sunday. Last season, University of Minnesota Duluth took home first place. leaving Minnesota State University in second place and St. Cloud University right behind them by half a point in third place, which, if you did not catch that, that is three Minnesota teams taking the top spot, which is pretty freaking insane. But that's also Minnesota taking the top spot in D1 Jazz and D1A Jazz. Minnesota is just sweeping the freaking Jazz division. Now, going back into Open Jazz, if I'm going to be completely honest, I don't see much changing this season. I can see maybe St. Cloud coming out and stealing the title, but truly, I do see those top three teams taking over this division once again. If there was another program I would like to see step into top three, it would have to be OCC, Orange Coast College. I'm not trying to be shady, but I really need OCC to like step back into 2018 and every year before that. Every year before that. OCC used to be like the top competitor for UDA. I was obsessed with OCC back in the day, circa 2010. I was obsessed with OCC. I don't know what happened. I think their choreographer, Dan Sapp, just stopped choreographing their routines, which we saw just kind of led into that downward spiral for OCC. Dan Sapp really had that program in a chokehold. He was dominating the UDA stage with OCC, and it was just always so fun to watch year after year. And then I think he left. Things happened. He's not choreographing for them anymore. The choreography isn't as strong as it used to be, and they just kind of fell off. However, OCC, I still feel, has that title name when it comes to judges. So I think when OCC takes the floor, we kind of have this expectation of how they're going to perform. They may not always meet those expectations, but I do think that OCC is a program that can really step back into a top three program. It's kind of what I'm hoping for. We're going to have to see. I hope they don't let me down for another year. Please don't do that to me. See how stressed I am already, and the competition hasn't even begun. I am this stressed about teams that I have no involvement with. Why? Someone tell me why. Now, just like jazz, hip hop is so interesting to see at UDA as these teams bring such a variety of interpretations of hip hop to the stage. Judges here are looking for teams that are not only clean and are executing styles to their appropriate hip hop origin, but also teams that are setting the standard for hip hop teams across the entire competition. Judges are not looking for the coolest tricks. Judges really want to see these teams dance with their clear textures, musicality, grooves, footwork, and style. Listen, do not bring a head spring. Do not bring a kip up to the UDA stage. I think it's very clear based off last season, judges don't want to see this. If you want to score high, you need to dance. If you're going to be bringing out these tricks, bring us something that is difficult. Elevate the game. That is what I'm wanting to see. If I was a judge in this division, that is what I would be looking for to see. Last season, the D1A Hip Hop Division had 17 teams hit the stage. This year, there are 18 teams taking the stage in this division. Out of those 18, 9 will be making it to finals. Now, back to what I was saying about what these judges are looking for in hip hop divisions at college nationals for UDA. It's very clear with UNLV scoring a 99.1014 that judges are not looking for these kip ups and head springs. They're looking for teams to come out and perform. Give us something difficult while still staying true to the hip hop style. I really do think that if there is a team that is going to come out and try and beat UNLV, the team that's probably going to be most successful is San Diego State. I think San Diego State is the only competitor that can give UNLV a run for their money. And now I know what you're thinking. What about LSU? I am a big Tiger Girls stan. I love the Tiger Girls. I don't think they can give what it needs to give to win D1A hip hop at UDA. I'm sorry. I just don't. Even when I think about their previous years, and I'm not thinking about last year, I'm talking 2022, 2021, every year before that, they have great hip hop. Don't get me wrong. Can they give what it needs to score over a 99.10? I don't think so. We're going to have to see. Stay tuned. I'm interested to see if they do I would probably be a little surprised. I think it's very clear that LSU probably wants to come out and win another D1A hip hop title. I'm sure their choreographers are grinding hard to make sure that they have the opportunity and chances and success to get there. I don't have high hopes for LSU this year. They kind of lost me last year with the heels. That's a whole nother rant that I could go on a different time. However, I can see LSU place top three. They are in my top 3 predictions, and I think that if they can come out and perform something as crazy as Like a Boy, but elevate it just a little bit more, they can come out on top 3. I think their Like a Boy routine just was something a lot more closer to them, so when they were performing, there was a lot more meaning and passion behind the routine. Last season, LSU came out and performed the routine to Crazy in Love in heels. Yes, you remember the heels. You probably also remember the hair on the floor. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. Listen, I'm gonna call it out. It happened. I'm gonna call it out. And although I do see LSU top 3, maybe Memphis can come out with a banger this season and snag a top spot in top 3. And if that is the case, I don't think LSU would make top 3, but I am rooting for the Tiger Girls this season. I would like to see them have more success this year than what we had last year. Last year was not the most successful for LSU. Fun routine, great routine, very entertaining, not competitive for UDA hip hop. I would even go as far as saying LSU is probably the one performance I am most looking forward to this season. I think it's going to be so different from last year. I don't think they're going to be coming out in heels again. I don't think any team in UDA hip hop nationals history will be coming out in heels ever again. At least I hope not. Another team I'm very excited to see is Kentucky. I think Kentucky can break into top 5. I think their 2023 routine was way underrated and it needs way more appreciation than what it was given. So, my blind predictions for D1A hip hop, UNLV, top spot, first place, San Diego State, second place, LSU, third place. Last year for D1 hip hop, we had 17 teams compete in this division. This season, we have 18 teams competing. I'm pretty sure it's top 9 that are going into finals. I didn't double check myself. Don't quote me on that. This season is interesting because I do think that we have 2 underdogs that are in this division that can either take the title or become top 3. Let's start with Grand Canyon University. This season, they brought in one of my favorite choreographers who had yet to get their hands on a college dance team until now, and I think this was a very smart move for Grand Canyon University. When you have a strong roster of dancers, an amazing coach, and a dope choreographer, that is just a recipe for success. I don't mean to hype up GCU too much, but when you are bringing this to the table, enough said. However, we have the most recent D1 hip hop NDA champions entering in this season. Utah Valley is coming to compete UDA hip hop, which I am very excited for. I'm also very nervous because, in my opinion, NDA hip hop is a little different than UDA hip hop. I'm not sure what it is, but teams that win NDA are teams that when I think of watching them on a UDA stage, I just don't think it's going to be as successful. I feel like teams that win UDA can go to an NDA competition and be successful. I don't know. It's just a weird thought. However, Utah Valley is back. And again, as I mentioned, I am a huge Utah Valley fan. I think Utah Valley can be pretty successful in D1 hip hop if they just slow down on the tricks. That is all I have. If they can slow down on the tricks and give us like 2 really dope tricks, give us some amazing choreography, I do think that Utah Valley can win. Now, if you remember last year, University of Delaware went from 5th place in the semifinals round to end up winning the division. That's going from a get this, okay? How this works, it never makes any sense to me. They went from a 88.72 in semifinals to a 93.76 in finals. How does that happen? Are the same group of eyes watching? Are the same judges watching? Like, how does that happen? Do you ever wonder if, like, these judges go to their hotel rooms and watch these teams, like, YouTube search them or go on Varsity TV and actually rewatch these teams? I'm sure they're not allowed to. I'm sure they're not supposed to. I'm sure they do it anyways. I'm sure. There's no way. There's no way. 88 to a 93. Teach me how. Teach me how, please. Please, please, please. I feel like that is such an unforgettable feeling as well. Going into finals thinking, okay, we're fifth. We have to hold on to this spot or make it fourth or make it third and then end up winning. Like, come on. The now 7-time national champions, I'm sure, are truly working hard to secure a three-peat in this division. And to be quite honest, I think it's going to be a challenge, but I think if anyone can do it, it's going to be Delaware. Delaware just brings such a fresh feeling to this division. And the last two routines that they have won have showcased an authentic hip hop style. They do love their tricks. Don't get me wrong. I think not this previous year. Actually, maybe it was this previous year. They had a head spring in their routine or some kind of front handspring or whatever the sort is. I hope that they can eliminate these elementary style tricks and start elevating their trick style a little bit more. If you're going to be a tricking routine, I feel like your tricks need to be like top notch. Top notch. Not a head spring, not a kip up. I'm going to stop saying it though because I've said it one too many times and I'm sure we're over me saying it, but yes, you get what I'm saying. I'm predicting that Grand Canyon University first, Utah Valley University second, and Delaware third place. Blind predictions. Don't come for me. Blind predictions. For the Open Hip Hop Division, last season we had 15 teams that competed, and this season there are 17 teams. Now, out of those 17 teams, only 9 will be making it to the finals competition. Now, last season we had my favorites, Lindenwood University, come out and take the top title. They had a final score of 89.33, which I have to admit is very low for UDA college nationals, which I don't quite understand how these scores were that low. I feel like even Lindenwood had a stronger routine than some of these D1A hip hop teams. I'm curious to know what these judges are wanting from these open hip hop teams. 89, like that's way too low. I feel like, I mean, a 93. I mean, you have teams dancing in heels scoring a 94, but then a team comes out and gives you authentic hip hop and they're scoring a 89. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Now, after I rewatched the Open Hip Hop Division, what I can say is that these open hip hop teams need to dig a little bit deeper into their hip hop vocabulary and actually use it this season. Less arms, slower counts, more grooves, less team vocals, and just more hip hop. Give me hip hop. Is that too much to ask for in a hip hop division? Like, dance hip hop, please. I don't understand it. Now, following Lindenwood, we had Northwest Community College take home second place, which, come on, Community College, in a top placing. I need to see that more. I need to see more of these community colleges come out and take home a top placement. I think if Northwest stayed away from every section having some kind of trick or lift and kept their dancing a little bit more grounded and grungy, I think that they could have won the division, in my opinion. Now, surprising because I am a Lindenwood University fan and you think that I would probably just root for them. However, I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible. And I do think that Northwest can take the division. With that being said, my top 3 are Northwest Community College in first, Lindenwood University in second, and Westchester University in third place. Now, on to my favorite division of the competition, Pom. I will admit now, I am a Pom and hip hop fan. Those are my two favorite dance divisions in general. You're probably going to notice that I will be a little bit more critical when it comes to Pom and hip hop. I love jazz. Don't get me wrong. I will score the hell out of a jazz routine. But in terms of watching, I just love watching Pom and hip hop. I love the fast pace, the high energy. I love it. So D1A Palm is actually the smallest division this weekend. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that. We have 15 teams coming out in D1A Palm, and only 8 teams will be moving forward into the final competition. That's 2 more teams compared to last season when we only had 13 in this division. University of Washington, Temple University, and Texas Tech are entering into the division this season. Now, I know that's 3 teams, and I said there's only 2 more teams that are entering. Virginia Tech is not competing in this division this season, which makes sense after they finished last place in 2023. Minnesota finished off the competition with a final score of 99.14. Insane, beating the Ohio State Buckeyes by about point 0.9. That is almost a full point, y'all, which is a tough finish for Ohio State, given that they won the division in 2022, 2021, 2019, 2018. You get it. I'm sure they were thinking that they were going to come out and win another year, which unfortunately did not happen. It's funny that last season, before the competition even started, I was actually rooting for Tennessee. I thought Tennessee was going to come out and end up winning Palm. Surprisingly, to the finish of competition, they didn't. However, after seeing the semifinals competition and seeing Minnesota, I think I already knew. I was like, they're gonna win. They're gonna win. They just brought this fresh feeling to Palm. And it was so different than what I think we've seen before in Palm. It felt more like a statement piece. It was less transitional and it was bold. It was powerful. It was athletic. And I think that's what judges are wanting to see in Palm. Now, teams going into this division know that they have to compete against Tennessee, Ohio, and Minnesota's beautiful technique, which, let's be real, that's a pretty difficult task. Some of the most beautiful dancers probably I have seen on the UDA stage come from these top D1A programs. I have to admit that Minnesota 2023 is actually probably one of my all-time favorite Palm routines. I feel like if dance team was going to the Olympics, it's a stretch. I mean, hopefully one day. However, if dance team was being integrated into the Olympics, Minnesota would be like on the mood board for what Palm and the Olympics should look like. Probably like Minnesota and Japan Palm. Come on, like insane. Like that is what Palm should be, in my opinion. You have high difficulty, you have precise motion placement and formations that are hitting every single corner of the stage. I think that Minnesota this year is going to kind of have the same style of what they did last year. I mean, after you win a division and you're at a 99, you are on the right path. I don't think there's much that you should be changing after that. Increase the difficulty. Yes. Give us something that's a little bit more memorable. Yes. I can only imagine the pressure that Ohio State is feeling. This division, in my opinion, is probably the most competitive. D1A Palm is probably the most competitive, even though it has the least amount of competitors. I do think that if Tennessee could come out and give us something a little bit more bold, sharp, powerful, they can give Ohio State a run for their money. I think so. I'm really excited to see just in general how these teams are going to elevate Palm this season. I felt like after Ohio State was like on their winning track, I was like, there's no way a team can come for Ohio after this. And now I'm thinking There's no way a team can come for Minnesota after this. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what Ohio State is going to do and how they're going to up their Pom game, maybe take out Pom bots and give us Pom warriors. I don't know. I'm also excited to see how Minnesota is going to try and take the title again. I'm excited to see how Tennessee is going to perform. I'm also excited for Cincinnati. I'm excited for Memphis. So I do think there is a lot of potential and growth in this division. And after Minnesota kind of set the new tone last year, I think teams are going to be really elevating this year. D1 Pom had 16 teams that competed last season. And in my opinion, the judges flopped the whole division. Let me explain. I did not think that Hofstra should have been second. Other than their music being nothing but terrible, I think the routine was grade A Pom. It was clean, it was difficult, it was different, it was competitive, it was packed with difficult, clean skills, difficult, clean turns. This team went on to win the ICU World Championships in 2023, which I was very excited for them because I think that they got robbed at UDA. So for them to still have a title underneath them last season made me at least a little bit happy for them. Now, I did mention I am a Hofstra fan. So, yes, I'm going to root for Hofstra. However, I will give credit where it is due, which brings me on to St. Joseph's University. I thought the routine was good. Last season, it was a good routine. It was different, which I think is like the pattern we're starting to see with these teams that are winning, is that they're bringing something a little bit more different, not just to the competition, but to their organization as a whole. However, yes, I do think that Hofstra should have won the division. University at Albany, Stony Brook, South Dakota State University, and Harvard are entering the competition this season for D1 Pom. I am probably most excited to see University of California, Santa Barbara. It's been fun to see Santa Barbara kind of on this peak of a ladder where they're just climbing the competition year after year. And we're starting to see a lot of these top teams that were doing that fall off of this ladder. So I think for Santa Barbara that they can continue this climb. I think they have a really clean team. Their team is very talented. And last season, they brought something a little different to UDA. However, I don't think it's something that belongs on a UDA stage. I see it more on a USA stage. I think if Santa Barbara can bring something a little bit more bold, powerful, you're going to keep hearing me say those words in Pom because I think that's what judges are just looking for. But I think if they could bring something that just elevates their style and their team a little bit more, I think that they can come out on top three. I'm actually hoping Santa Barbara can get top three this season. Also, fun fact about Santa Barbara, and I don't know if there's other teams that are doing this as well too, but I'm pretty sure Santa Barbara is like athlete ran. Like they just have a captain, and that captain runs the program somehow. I don't know. Tell me how that works, or if that's even accurate. I heard it, but I don't know if that's accurately true. Another team I wouldn't be mad at seeing come into top three would be Fullerton. I have to admit, I was very disappointed last season. It wasn't the same Fullerton team that I'm used to watching, and their choreography didn't feel original at all. I think there was a lot of Ohio State transitional pieces and technique that was kind of mapped the same way that Ohio State did in previous years. So it wasn't necessarily my favorite to see, and their turn sequence. No, no, no. So my predictions for top three in D1 Pom are going to be Hofstra, Santa Barbara, and Fullerton. And last but not least, we have the Open Pom Division. This division hits a little bit more closer to home for me as it was the first division that I actually fell in love with when it comes to UDA, and that's actually because of OCC. I was a major fan of OCC growing up. It was their Pom routine, I believe, 2011 that I originally fell in love with. They had a male performing, and it was my first time seeing a male in Pom. And I was like, wow, I can do that. Not alone just a male, but also a male that kind of represents me. It just kind of hit a little bit closer to home for me. I wish I can say that I am still that huge fan of OCC, but since 2018, they just kind of fell off a little bit. So it's hard to say that I could have confidence in OCC coming out to win another division since then. And I'm pretty sure they haven't. I could be wrong, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they haven't won a title in probably 6 years at UDA. Last season for Open Palm, we had 20 teams compete in this division. This season, there are 21 teams competing for the title. Out of those 21 teams, 11 teams will be making it into the final competition. One team I'm a huge fan of in Open Palm is Endicott College. I think it was COVID year. Endicott College did the virtual UDA nationals and they had the swinging palms. I was in love with that routine. It was actually that routine where I actually noticed who Endicott College was, and I became a fan of them after that. I just like their style of palm. I've been trying to figure out, and I did some stalking, and maybe I missed it, who their choreographer is, but I love their style of palm. I think it's something different for open palm. The only thing I don't love about Endicott is their music. I think their music can be a little bit more up to date. It feels very outdated with these sound effects and vocals that they use, but maybe that's just the traditional style for Endicott College. However, I do think their music can be a little bit more elevated. So, with that said, my predictions for Open Palm are Minnesota State University Mankato taking first, St. Cloud University taking second, and OCC taking third place. And that concludes everything that I wanted to talk about for this weekend's competition. I feel like I had so much to say. I'm not going to lie. I'm also very nervous. It's my first time actually recording a video and putting all of my thoughts into this action. So bear with me. I know I have some growth myself to be doing, and I'm going to allow myself to do that as I'm going to get more comfortable getting behind a camera and recording and sharing my opinions. If you are a UDA College Dance Team Nationals fan, subscribe. I am going to be posting a lot more content around this weekend's event, as well as all dance team events moving forward until the end of the season here come in May. I'm also going to be doing some live streams during these competitions because I want to share my reactions and my immediate thoughts about these routines, as well as hear from all of you guys. I want to hear what you guys think and what you guys have to say about everything that's going on over the weekend. So thank you for hanging in with me, listening to this entire video. If you even made it here, I look forward to sharing more of these with you guys, and take care. Happy UDA Nationals Week.